The aftermath of last night's debacle is here. And it's bad, man. I don't know if you guys didn't watch the Fetterman debate with Dr. Oz. This is the Senate race in Pennsylvania. Then I'll call you lucky. I'll call you lucky. A lot of people were mocking and gloating and laughing at John Fetterman as he failed to make words, as he failed to speak and said utter nonsense. Like when asked about fracking, he says, I support fracking and I don't. I don't know what that means. But of course, you've already got journalists coming out translating for him. You've got many liberals saying, don't be ableist. But there's two big stories. John Fetterman has tanked in the prediction market. After debate with Dr. Oz, clips of mental damage go viral. This was brutal. I genuinely felt sad for this man. It's amazing. There's a tweet where someone says, isn't it funny that the only people that are claiming to feel bad about Fetterman's health are his ideological opponents? And I can't remember who tweeted it, but they said that actually reflects more poorly on you, his supporters, than us, his detractors. Fetterman prediction market. Dr. Laz now is a 66 cents. He's sitting at that on Predicted. Let me slow down for a second. I'm going to show you a bunch of these clips of Fetterman. And it doesn't make me happy. I mean, this guy should not have been debating. He had a stroke in May. He clearly can't understand words. He is blaming the captioning service. He is blaming the device that was attempting to make him able to communicate that didn't work. Prediction markets are not polls. Prediction markets, in my opinion, are probably better than polls. Not perfect, but here's how polls work. Polling is someone asks you a question. Who are you going to vote for? Who do you think is going to win? Or I should say, who are you going to vote for? And they'll say, I'm going to vote for the Democrat. I'm going to vote for the Republican. And some of these people won't vote. The prediction market is a question of how do you want to profit and who do you think is actually going to win? The wisdom of the crowd, as it were. Timcast.com reports Fetterman tanks in prediction market. Let me show you. Here's the image. This is Republican and Democrat. This is the Senate election in Pennsylvania. The people understand what they saw last night. Let me show you the clips and we'll come back to this. You can see that following last night's debate, the prediction market tanks. John Fetterman dropped 11 cents. That's about 11 points. Oz jumped 12. This is insane. This means people do not think Fetterman will win following last night's performance. That's why he dropped so dramatically. Now, he's been dropping for some time, mind you, over the past month. The inflection point for Dr. Oz was around the 18th of October when he overtook Fetterman in the prediction market. But let me show you a bit of what we have, and then we'll come back. So there's a lot to go through. The Philadelphia Inquirer's editorial writers, columnists, and contributors collectively thought Fetterman performed better than Oz. Okay, let me show you. Fetterman opens the debate.
As lieutenant governor, you're running for a seat that could decide the balance of power in Washington. What qualifies you to be a U.S. senator? You have 60 seconds.
Hi, good night, everybody. I'm running to serve Pennsylvania.
He said, hi, good night, everybody. That's just one thing. I'll show you more. And I haven't even pulled up every single clip. Sitting through this, I tried turning it off. On Timcast RL, we were watching the debate. I tried turning off. People were like, no, dude, you've got to play it. And I'm like, I can't listen to this, man. It's breaking my heart. I don't like his dude's policies. What he meant to say was good evening. Good evening, everybody. We understand that. But his brain is damaged. So he said good night. Good night means something different from good evening. But isn't that funny? Good evening, good night sounds like it should mean the same thing. Evening and night, they're not too dissimilar. But in colloquial English, when you say good evening, you're effectively saying welcome. When you say good night, you are saying goodbye. Fetterman's brain's broken. We got more. We got more. Here we go. Julio Rosas, Fetterman melts down after a long pause when confronted about his flip-flopping on fracking.
Energy independence.
I must correct the record.
Just a second, Mr. Oz. I do want to clarify something. You're saying tonight that you support fracking, that you've always supported fracking, but there is that 2018 interview that you said, quote, I don't support fracking at all. So how do you square the two?
I do support fracking, and I support fracking, and I do support fracking.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Well, I understand he said I support fracking a couple times, but he also said I support fracking and I don't. Take that quote. Take that quote from him and put it in the papers and tell everyone he said this. John Fetterman, I support fracking and I don't. Am I supposed to translate to you for him? This is what they're doing on the left. The liberals are doing. They're translating, and they'll say something like, in response to the question, Fetterman reiterated his support for fracking. Did he? He said, I don't. Am I supposed to assume he meant to say something else? I will not play that game. He said, I support fracking and I don't. Great. I have no clear answer. And then he says, and I support fracking. Okay, fine, dude. Fine. Yeah, there's more. Let's see what else we got. Here we go. Has Fetterman paid taxes? Try and see if you can understand this one.
Mr. Fetterman, I will allow a 15-second rebuttal. He has specifically said you have not paid your taxes and that you want to raise taxes on Americans. How do you respond?
Absolutely. The Oz rule, of course, he's lying. It was helping two students 17 years ago to help them, buy their own homes. They didn't pay the bills, and it got her paid, and it has never been an issue in any of the campaign before. It was helping two students 17 years ago to help them, buy their own homes. They didn't pay the bills, and it got her paid. And it has never been an issue in any of the campaign before.
It was helping two students 17 years ago to help them buy their own homes. They and didn't pay the bills and got our paid. And it has never been an issue in any of the campaign before. I got to be honest. The Washington Free Beacon transcribing what he said actually makes him sound a lot better than if you actually listen to what he said and understand he's struggling to speak. But let me just point out. From Pittsburgh Action News 4, Senate candidate John Fetterman owed thousands in unpaid taxes. Liens totaling $25,000 were filed against Fetterman and nonprofit Braddock Redux. This is from 2016. Never been an issue before? Are you kidding? They actually write. They say a candidate for U.S. Senate, this is back in 2016, has unpaid taxes. Court records show dozens of tax liens filed against Fetterman and an organization he leads. Dozens. That's not just one or two people. This is what we have. Why haven't you released your medical records? I'm just going to play the clips for you.
You released this note from your doctor saying you can work full duty in public office, but you have not released your detailed medical records surrounding your stroke. Mr. Fetterman, will you pledge tonight to release those records in the interest of transparency?
I'll pause right now and just say, notice Red Tsunami and Dem Exit trending. How about that?
You have
right
60
there next
seconds.
to the
No. To me, for transparency is about showing up. I'm here today to have a debate. I have, speeches in front of 3,000 people in Montgomery County, all across Pennsylvania, big crowds. I believe if my doctor believes that I'm fit to serve, and that's what I believe is appropriate. And now with 2 weeks before the election, I have run a campaign and I've been very transparent about being very open about the fact we're going to use captioning. And I believe that, again, my doctors, the real doctors that I believe in, they all believe that I'm ready to be served.
Follow up. I didn't hear you say you would release your full medical records. Why not? You have 30 seconds.
No. Again, my doctor all believes that I'm fit to be serving, and that's what I believe is where I'm standing.
Okay, Mr.
What? My doctor believes I am fit to be serving, and I believe that is where I'm standing. I'm sorry, man. Watching that last night, half the time I'm just confused. I don't know what he's saying, and this may be one of the worst. Are there any of Biden's policy positions you disagree with? 7 Mississippi pause.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Fetterman.
I'll
A
show you right
follow-up
here.
question on this. Our Next Star poll shows 51% of Pennsylvania voters disapprove of the president's job performance. You have publicly supported many of his policy positions.
Timestamp.
Are there any that you disagree with? 30 seconds.
15. 1. Yeah.
No, I just believe he needs to do more
Okay.
about supporting.
Okay, now look at this. The question ends around the 15-second mark.
Seconds.
So right at 16 on the timestamp, he does not resume speech until 23 on the timestamp. Now let's get into his excuses for what happened.
No, I just believe.
So at 23, 7 seconds after the question was asked, he began to respond. Now, of course, there is a statement that has been put out by Fetterman's campaign as to what really happened. And they say, Nexstar, the closed captioning system was rife with errors. That's exactly what my point was. Thank you for proving me correct, John Fetterman, that the technology does not exist. Here's what he's saying. He's saying that because the captioning was full of error. Let me just read. After Pennsylvania, this is from News Nation now. After Pennsylvania Senate candidate John Fetterman had difficulty speaking during his highly anticipated debate with Mehmet Oz, the Stroke Survivors campaign blamed the caption system provided for him as being delayed and filled with errors. I'm going to pause there and say there are 2 caption systems. The one on the left is slightly delayed. I'm sorry, the one on the right is slightly delayed from the one on the left, it appears. So, oh, no, is that it? Where is it? So this one says, Mr. Oz, please, we are still with Mr. Fetterman. And then Mr. Oz, please, we are still with Fetterman, turning to you. Right. So the one on the right is slightly delayed, and that's on purpose. So that if he misses something, he can see it. He can jump to the other one. Following the debate aired nationally by News Nation, Fetterman's campaign claimed the Pennsylvania Lieutenant Governor outcome overcame a slow and incorrect captioning system, saying, we are thrilled with John's performance. He did remarkably well tonight, especially when you consider that he's still recovering from a stroke and was working off a delayed captions filled with errors. That's my point. And I was right. They say John won countless exchanges. He didn't. Counter-punched aggressively. He did. That's true. And pushed back on Oz's cruelty and attacks. No. It is unfortunate that Mr. Fetterman is now criticizing the closed captioning process employed by Nexstar during tonight's debate. Nexstar Communications Chief Gary Whiteman said in a statement, both candidates agreed to the technical setup of the closed captioning process weeks ago, which was implemented at the request of the Fetterman campaign. Both candidates were offered the opportunity for 2 full rehearsals with the same equipment used in tonight's debate. Mr. Fetterman chose to do only one. In fact, Nexstar's production team went to extraordinary lengths to ensure the effectiveness of the closed captioning process and to accommodate several last-minute requests of the Fetterman campaign. The closed captioning process functioned as expected during rehearsal and again during tonight's debate. We regret that Mr. Fetterman and his campaign feel otherwise. So we have the reality, which is Fetterman's campaign is lying about what really happened, or we have the sad lie, which disqualifies Fetterman from holding office. Fetterman's campaign, and Fetterman himself and his wife, they say, and all of his supporters, here we go with Liz Plank, when your side is so bad, you have to rely on ableism to win. Okay, Liz. Fetterman says that his campaign says it was full of errors. So you're saying the technology was incapable of allowing him to have a debate. Is Fetterman going to be able to debate on the Senate floor? Is he going to be able to debate other politicians and world leaders? Is he going to be able to do his job if he can't understand what is being said because of errors? Someone commented saying, this is like claiming you've lost a marathon because your wheelchair malfunctioned. The way I put it is, listen, some people can't walk. We have exosuits. Have you seen them? They attach them to your legs and then you can walk very slowly. Now, your legs aren't really receiving commands from your brain. There's technology being worked on for that. The suit just moves your legs for you. In Fetterman's case, his brain can't comprehend the sounds as they're traveling into his brain, but he can read. But if the machine cannot do the job, I'm sorry. If you can't walk, you can't represent us in the Olympics. The Olympics, you're running, you're a sprinter. We want the best of the best who can run. We're not going to bring someone out who can't run and needs a special device and then blames the device. In fact, when it came to that Oscar, what was his name? You know, that he had the leg prosthetics. Many were concerned that would give him an advantage because there's less muscle fatigue. But others pointed out he would have to rely on his upper muscles more than anyone else. So it actually could be a disadvantage. The point here is the technology there exists for someone to be able to run with leg prosthetics. If the technology does not exist to real-time transcribe to a degree that you can actually have a debate, you cannot do the job. Listen, if I need someone to lift heavy boxes for me, you can't blame technology that doesn't exist. And this is what we're seeing. That's Liz Plank. Here's one. Dr. Oz just gave a masterclass on how to bully people with disabilities. Seriously? Amazing statement. Dean Cain says he's running for the U.S. Senate, Liz. And she says, are people with speech impairments not supposed to run for office? Don't we want everyone to participate in democracy? Our representatives need to be people who are capable of doing the job. I mean, no disrespect to anybody who suffers a disability, but I'm sorry, if you can't walk, you can't be a firefighter. I'm not trying to be mean to you. There are certain jobs that require you have the physical abilities to do it. But of course, this is what the left proposes. Imagine sending someone to the chess championships, the international grand master, whatever it's called. And it's somebody who doesn't know how to play chess. Are they going to argue, well, like, hey, just because they don't know how to play chess doesn't mean they shouldn't be allowed? Everyone should be able to participate. Yes, I agree. And they can go and enter the beginner's level competition. But if I want to send someone who is going to represent the United States, it's not going to be someone who can't do the job, whether it's because they haven't learned how to do it or because they're physically incapable. And this is where we are. Lies, lies, lies. According to Joe Calvello, director of communications for John Fetterman, so he says, I don't know who this guy is. He says Fetterman has raised over $1 million since the debate. It's shocking. I mean, it's absolutely terrifying. Interactive polls, WPXI, who won the PA Senate debate. 82% voted for Mehmet Oz. That's unsurprising. The left, the Democrats, they can only fall back and say ableism. Ableism. Is that it? Fine. Campaign on that. But I'll just tell you, man, what we're seeing now with John Fetterman raising money off of incoherent, nonsensical statements and a proven inability to do the job shows these people hate you. It's not an emotional statement. Someone tweeted, this is how much they hate you. They're going to vote for this man. And it's true. They hate you. I am not saying that to make you feel like there's a war going on. I'm saying when Democratic voters look at Dr. Oz and hear what he's saying, they hate him so much, they would rather vote for John Fetterman, fully aware of John Fetterman's inability to do the job. I think Mehmet Oz had some good answers. I think he had some bad answers. I actually think Fetterman got a good one in there or two. I really do. But it is insane to me that they will come up with any excuse possible to try and justify the horrifying drop in his support, in his capabilities, in the prediction markets. I mean, this one's just absolutely remarkable to look at. This swing overnight. Now, predicted markets aren't perfect, but I think they're better than polls. And I think we're likely going to see a major polling swing show. Interestingly, when it comes to the gubernatorial race, governorship, Shapiro is leading in the prediction markets and the polls against Doug Mastriano. Now, it could be that Mastriano is not a celebrity TV doctor, or it could be the only reason that Fetterman is losing is because everyone knows his brain doesn't work anymore. I think that's a fair point. You take a look at what's currently happening in the polls. You take a look at what's happening with Mastriano, and there it is right in front of our eyes. Now, it could be the polls are wrong. You know, we had Doug on the show. I think he's a good dude. I think he's got better policies than Shapiro. And I would be surprised if the state actually went Democrat. In many polls, 538 has Fetterman within 2 points of Dr. Oz, above Dr. Oz. So we'll see. There's a lot that can happen now and then, but voting is currently happening. And we have this story that y'all should pay attention to. A constitutional crisis is brewing in Pennsylvania over mail-in ballots. There's already been several court cases. There's been challenges already. So we will see exactly where we go with this. I don't think Fetterman can win. But they voted for Joe Biden. And what did they say? They said, stay alive, Joe Biden. All we need is your corporeal form. They will vote for Fetterman because what they're saying now is, I'm not kidding. They're tweeting this. To be a senator, you only need to say yay or nay. That's it. And they're telling you exactly how they view the system. They don't think senators are supposed to do anything other than say yay or nay. The voters will decide because they want direct democracy. But we're supposed to be a constitutional republic. Representatives are supposed to go to office, are supposed to go to D.C. and represent us. Fetterman will be unable to explain his ideas, as he already is. He will be unable to debate or challenge other ideas. He won't know what someone's saying to him. Fine. If you want to choose a man like that, then do so. But don't be surprised when your gas prices skyrocket, when the economy tanks, and you'll have this man representing you who's unable to communicate your ideas. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.